Well. Hello, everyone. I'm Luquitas Montes again, and I'm going to read another chapter for you of this book, of course, officially dead. And the last chapter I read was The Wife. When we saw that the police reached the Julie's house to file a police report, I think is the correct way to say this. Uh, because Julie wanted to say the police that her husband was missed. And of course, the police didn't have information about this because when they found the body in the crash, Colin had the identification of uh, John Bentley. So let's see what happened in this chapter. Number 8. Let's go to that chapter. Okay. 4, 5, 6, 7. This is Julie, very worried about her husband. And here we are. Chapter 8. The funeral. I hope you can see this okay. Let's put this in this way. Okay, the funeral. It was late afternoon. John Bentley lay on the bed on the semi-darkness, a log in the back bedroom of the house in Brentwood, and unable to leave it. He had plenty of time to think about what had happened. He and Linda were in big trouble, it seemed to him. He had no identity now, and he was a prisoner of his own home. He tried to imagine his future, but he couldn't find anything to believe in. He had slept most of the earlier part of the day, but his sleep had been troubled by bad dreams, and he had been woken from time to time by the ringing of the telephone. But now he was wide awake, awaiting for Linda to return. She had gone to identify the body of her husband and then to make arrangements for his funeral. At last, John could lie still no longer. He went carefully downstairs to the kitchen and made himself a drink. He was still there at 5:30 when Linda came home. She was carrying Colin Fenton's suitcase. She was furious when she saw John in the kitchen. "What are you doing down here?" she whispered, angry. "Get upstairs at once." "I've not made any noise, Linda," John said quietly. "And I've not turned the light on." He pointed at the kitchen curtains, which were closed. "No one can see in, so let him stay." "Okay, sit on the floor," Linda said. "We can't take any risks." John did as he was told. He didn't want to go back upstairs yet. Linda checked the curtains carefully and switched on the electric light. Then she opened Colin Fenton's suitcase. Inside the case, in a large plastic bag, were the clothes which Colin had been wearing when he died. He would be dressed in his business suit for his funeral. There were also some clean shirts and underclothes and a briefcase in the suitcase. In a smaller plastic bag, there were a few personal items: Colin's watch, his wedding ring, and his mobile phone. The phone was broken. It had been in Colin's jacket pocket, and it had been crushed by the steering wheel in the accident. The watch was broken too. Linda threw the phone and the watch in the waste bin. She examined the ring carefully. "It isn't worth much," she said, "but it's gold. I'll sell it later." She put it inside her handbag. Then she opened the dead man's briefcase. She glanced quickly at the papers and files inside it. Then she threw those in the bin. There were several zipped pockets inside the briefcase. Linda checked them all, but she didn't find what she was looking for. She found it. The police would have told me, she began. Then she stopped and checked the suitcase again. There was a zipped pocket inside that too. Linda opened it quickly. The envelope was still there. She pulled it out, opened it, and counted the money nervously. 5,000 euros. It was all there. She sighed. The money had been borrowed. It was part of an advance paid by Frankie Simpson for the jewelry. He was going to fence for them. How are you feeling, John? Linda asked her husband. She was calmer now. I need to get out of this house soon, he replied. And the phone's been ringing all day. I can't believe that, Linda said. Earlier that day, before going to identify the body, Linda had told the manager of the jewelry shop about John's death. She had also told Frankie Simpson about it, and Frankie would have told John's old friends at the Red Lion. People had obviously been phoning to talk to Linda about John's accident and to sympathize with her. Well, she and John had to continue with the lie now. And anyway, only by doing that could they carry out the robbery and escape safely with the money. I'm hungry, Linda, John said. I need to eat. I need something to eat. You'll better get back upstairs, she told him. I'll cook you something and bring it up to you in half an hour. John returned quietly to the back bedroom. He lay on the bed again, still angry with Linda for getting him into this situation. Soon, he heard her coming upstairs. She entered the room carrying a tray with a plate of hamburgers on it. John sat up and he began to eat hungrily. I'm going out again now, Linda said. I'll probably be back late. Where are you going? John didn't want to be alone again. I'm going to get rid of Fenton's car. Colin's BMW was in the Bentley's garage. Linda looked up and down the street before she went to get in, but it was dark outside now. The neighborhoods would not notice Linda driving away in a car which didn't belong to her. Linda drove to the M25 and traveled along it until she was on the western side of London. She turned off the motorway when she came to the exit of Heathrow Airport. She drove Colin's car into one of the long stay car parks and parked it there. The long stay car park was a good place to leave Colin's car, Linda thought. It would be some time before anybody realized that the BMW had been abandoned, and when the police did know about it, they would think that Colin had got on a plane and left the country. They wouldn't search for him. They certainly wouldn't suspect that he was dead. Linda knew that hundreds of people went missing every year in Britain. Colin Fenton would simply become another missing person. Linda walked from the car park to Heathrow Central Underground Station. Soon she was sitting on a train going back across the city. It was nearly midnight when she arrived at Upminster Station. From there, she took a taxi home. John was asleep. The tray and the dirty plate were on the floor beside his bed. The next few days were difficult for Linda. She couldn't stop visitors coming to the house. John had to stay inside his room most of the time and be very quiet. He felt like a trapped animal. Often, he wanted to run outside and scream, but he knew he had to stay hiding. He kept his gun in a drawer beside the bed, and sometimes he took the gun out and held it in his hand. He'd never fired the gun at anyone, but as he lay there in the dark room, he wondered what it would be like to kill someone with it. After the first couple of days, he slept with the gun under his pillow. The gun made him feel safe. Then it was the day of the funeral. The body was going to be cremated. Linda told everyone that that was what her husband had wanted. The funeral took place at the crematorium near Brentwood. A few of John and Linda's colleagues from Sandwells came to the crematorium, and so did Frankie Simpson and some of John's other mates from the Red Lion. By the afternoon, all that was left of Colin Fenton was a container of ashes. Linda had asked for the ashes to be scattered in the garden of the crematorium. When Linda arrived home after the crematorium, she went upstairs to see how John was. She opened the door of the back bedroom. It was dark in the room, but Linda couldn't just see her husband. He was pointing his gun at her. This is the crematorium moment. I had enough of this, Linda, he said angrily. I can't stay here anymore. You've made me a prisoner. You're not my prisoner, John, she said calmly, as though talking to a child. She moved closer to him. We are in this together, John. We both have to be strong. It's madness, John said, sitting up. He was staring at Linda, furious with her. This whole plan is a madness. It'll never work. Linda touched him gently on the arm. He pushed her hand away violently. Why have you done this to me? He said. You've taken my life away from me. I'm trapped. John, she said softly, we've got to be patient. We need to wait just a couple of weeks, that's all. Then we'll do the robbery and we'll get away. No one will ever find us, and we'll have all the money we could want. 2 more weeks and we'll be free, John. We'll be free forever. John allowed Linda to touch his arm now. I don't believe it, he said quietly. You have to believe it, John, Linda said. It's true. She sat on the bed beside him and she took the gun from his hand. Listen, John, in a few days' time, I will go back to work, but I'm going to tell Mr. Rose that I will be leaving my job at Sandwalls at the end of the month. That's in just a couple of weeks. I will tell him I can't live here alone without my husband. I will tell him I'm going back to Scotland. I've already cancelled the lease on this house just before I leave the shop. You will do the robbery as we planned. Now that you are officially dead, your alibi is even better than before, isn't it? John Bentley can't rob shops. He's a dead man. It's the best possible alibi. And I'll only have to behave normally at work for a few days after the robbery. Suddenly, Linda smiled. I'm sorry, John, my love, she said. I know this is very difficult for you. Look, it's dark now. Let's go out for a couple of hours. We'll go for a drink and a meal. We'll go somewhere where nobody knows us. Let's go north through a saffron water. We'll find a village pub in that area. Nobody will recognize you there. John realized that he had no choice but to agree to his wife's plan for the robbery. And after that, they would both have to leave the country as soon as possible. Meanwhile, he was happy with the idea of leaving the house for a few hours. 10 minutes later, Linda was driving the van northwards toward Cambridge. John was hiding in the back. In a small village just south of Saffron Walden, they stopped for a drink and a meal in an old pub. They weren't worried that anybody would know them were there. It wasn't the kind of place their friends visit. As they sat in the warm restaurant, looking at the bright long fire, Linda put her hand on her husband's arm. "Just a few weeks more, John," she said again. "Then we'll be free." And that is how this chapter ends. Okay. John is really worried about this plan, but he had no choice. And Linda uh, wants what always get what she wants, like in the first chapter of the book she said. So let's see what happened in the next chapter. See you and have a nice day.